Namaskar. It gives me great pleasure to be with all of you. Thanks to Ananda, who's been a long time friend, and we've kind of traveled together this whole journey, long journey of the arts, and discussed a lot of things, students, what's happening to the current scene. So when she asked me to do this session, I was overjoyed because somebody as senior as her was trying to put together 4 or 5 artists who would bring different dimensions of the art form and share in the form of a session. I thought it was a good idea, and she asked me to give a topic, and so I was at a loss because there were so many things that I wanted to share. But Abhinaya is something I feel very close to my heart, and I feel it's the core of my dance form, Bharatanatyam, any classical dance form for that matter, but particularly Bharatanatyam, because it brings into focus poetry and music, which are both things that I love. I love reading and I love listening to music. And after having trained for 20 years in music, I think it's just natural that you love the musical part of the dance. I'm going to sing 3 padams quickly, like a medley. Let's have some fun. And you can tell me what is the commonality between them. Indendu vachi deviram, indendu vachi deviram, alada illo evede kadu popora indendu vachi deviram, alada illo evede kadu popora pora chudare adinadiche uyalu chudare adinadiche uyalu chudare adinadiche uyalu sudati seyuda jadalu sudati seyuda jadalu chudare adinadiche uyalu jalaja bandhu bhumiga jaladhiyil aanayum jalaja bandhu jaladhiyil aanayum jalaja bandhu bhumiga jaladhiyil aanayum. So many padams, many different emotions, many different nayikas. The first one being, oh, get out. The second one being, look at the gossip. Look at this. Look at the woman. What style. A little jealous, but also observant. and gossiping. And the last one, which is full of pathos and which is sadness, because you have not been able to unite, or you're longing to unite with your Nayaka or the hero. So today I thought I'll take this particular last padam which I sang, which is Alarshara Paritapam, which is a padam of Swati Tirunal in the ragam Shurati set to Mishra Japatalam. And it's interesting because many padams you associate with certain styles, like many of the Ashtapatis you associate with Odissi. And the same way, when it comes to many of the Swati Tirunal padams, you associate it with Mohiniyattam. It is in Manipuram, and it's obviously something that really sits beautifully on the Mohiniyattam style. But when I heard this for the first time, sung by my teacher, Srimati Akhila Krishnan, I immediately said I have to do it. So I did this piece, and it's been part of my repertoire for a long time. Though I think in these changing times, what has happened is when programs have become very short, padams which are reposeful and which are slow are not being rendered that much, because I think quickly in 40 minutes, if you have to really catch the attention of the audience, a slow padam sometimes becomes difficult to dance. But I think as an artist, it's always a dream to do a slow, reposeful padam, and this is what today I thought I would share with you in the given time that I have. Many padams, there's always this debate that whether to start a padam from the Pallavi or the Anupallavi. And I've had many scholars discuss this, because when a padam is, or when a poem is written, the poet has a certain vision and the poet writes it in a certain sequence. But when we as dancers take it for interpretation and to create a certain context, ambience, and to actually give it a dramatic interpretation, many times I feel starting from the Anupallavi sets the context to the piece much better. And it's the same with this particular piece. It starts Alarshara Paritapam Shulvadinaliveni Vani Those who want to write the lyrics, they are most welcome to write the lyrics. Alarshara Paritapam, though it's easily available on the net, it just means the flower arrows are bothering me, oh friend. What can I say? It's just so tormenting. This is the Pallavi. Now the Anupallavi actually is so beautiful. It's the Anupallavi that I got attracted to first. It says, Jalaja Bandhu Bhumika Jaladhiyal Adayum Jalaja Bandhu Bhumika Jaladhiyal Adayum Malaya Jalaja Bandhu. Now, it's so beautiful that the poet has actually, he's just saying that the sun has set. This is what he wants to say. But how beautifully he has said it. He says, Jalaja Bandhu, the friend of the lotus. Who is the friend of the lotus? This is what when I talked about context and when I talked about going beyond the lyric. Now, obviously, if we go by just the meaning of the words, you would say Jalaja Bandhu. Now this would be but what is Jalaja Bandhu? Jalaja Bandhu is the sun. So obviously you really cannot do Jalaja Bandhu like this. If Jalaja Bandhu is the sun. And the words chosen, Jalaja Bandhu Iha is this time. Jaladhi is the ocean. Jaladhil Anayanu. It's almost like it's setting, but it's actually merging. So I think this is where the interpretation of the artist is very important. It's not about picking up a lyric and just deciphering the meaning and just doing it, but to have the sensitivity to understand the poetry as an aesthetic construct, as something that is beautiful, and out of that, how do you create beauty with the vocabulary of the dance? So I would begin by just using the eyes. And here the Nayika is, of course, lovelorn, and she is desirous of the Nayaka. So everything in nature is beautiful, yet it is disturbing her. In the sense, it's reminding her of the Lord all the time. Now I would throw open a question to all of you. Since Ananda told me that many of you are dancers and young dance students, how would you actually show the setting sun and the evening time? Because here Jalaja Bandhu Iha Jaladhi Lanayu. Basically he is trying to say that this is the evening time. Now for a dancer, it has so many different ways of course, if you ask a contemporary young woman who would say that the street lights come on and that's evening time, or the traffic is at its peak, that's evening time. But in a context of a Nayika, a lovelorn Nayika, who is looking at nature for some kind of solace, some kind of inspiration, and some kind of what should I say? Something that cools her down, and she's looking for something like that. Here, Jalaja Bandhu is something like that time of the day. So I throw it open to you. I mean, somebody can read it out to me. What are the things of evening time that you could come up with? If you have suggestions, you could type it, and I have people following me. They can come and kind of tell me, how would you show twilight? How would you show evening time? Of course, in dance, you would say, Jalaja Bandhu Jaladhil Anayum Jalaja Bandhu Jaladhil Anayum Jalaja Bandhu Jaladhil Anayum. This would be from the lyric. Now, even the little things that you do beyond, like Hasta of course tells you only this much, but the link of the sun actually going down and merging would be an extension of going a little beyond what the traditional Hasta would say. It's that involvement and that degree of investing in the movement, or in the moment, or in the poetry. Now, I don't know, have there been some responses for evening?
Lotus shies away from the moon, birds returning to their nests.
Yes, birds returning to the nest is something beautifully done. Jalaja Bandhu. More than returning to the rest, they are restless and they're chirping away. And in these lockdown days, I have been sitting outside, because for me the twilight time is very, very beautiful, and I find this the most mysterious kind of a time of the day. And even when I go to Chennai, if I have to go to the temple, I would go at twilight because I love the sky, the color of the sky. I love the birds chirping. So even when you do the birds, it's Jala Jala Bandhu Mika Jaladhil Anayun. So after doing all the restlessness, the note is so that is like a pause in the music. So I think even the Abhinaya, you cannot be doing so that pause of the music is also something that has to be brought into the dance, because that's where the dance, music, poetry, everything comes together. Now I go to Vrindavan very often, and there this time is called Godhuli. Now Godhuli is when the cows, they come back after their day out, and they come back and they raise a lot of dust. So when they raise a lot of dust, there is a haze, and that's what is called Godhuli. So I think this is a beautiful way of showing evening. So I would always, when I did this padan, I would definitely bring the Godhuli aspect. Jala Jala Bandhu Mika Jaladhil Anayun. They've come back. Then you see the sky. Because imagine yourself standing on the ocean shore and actually seeing the sunset and seeing the sky, color of the sky. Jala Jala Bandhu Mika Jaladhil Anayun. You can even extend it to say the moon is up and the sun has gone down. So these are the ways you extend the Jalaja Bandhu. And of course, normally in the last line you come back to Naika and you come back to her state of mind. So you say Jalaja Bandhu Mika Jaladhil Anayun. Malaya Marutametrum Mama Manamaditaram Vada Vivashamaye Sakhi. So Malaya Marutam, the cool breeze. So Malaya Marutam is a beautiful, because in various styles people do it in such different ways, the breeze. And I used to always love the way my first teacher did it, Swarna Sastyama. Malaya Marutam. It used to bring that quality of the air so beautifully. Malaya Marutam Mama Manamaditaram Vada Vivashamaye Sakhi. So the disturbing breeze is making her restless from inside and then making her desolate. So there are so many things that the breeze can do, you know. So in this Malaya Marutametrum Mama Manamaditaram Vada Vivashamaye. So it's not so much about the hastas as so much as the feel, and the same hasta can be used to depict so many different things. The same Malaya Marutametrum Mama Manamaditaram Vada Vivashamaye Sakhi. Malaya Marutametrum Mama Manamaditaram Vada Vivashamaye மாலய மாருதமேற்றும் மம மனமதிதராம்பத விவசமாயே சகி மலய மாருதமேற்றும் மம மனமதிதராம்பத விவசமாயே சகி அலர்ஷர பரிதாபம். So normally the last hand what you do should connect to the neck. Sakhi alarshara paritapam shulvadim aliveni pani bale. I love this because this actually establishes the conversation between the Sakhi and the Nayaka. Supposing, imagine you have not done that. Alashara paritapam shulvadim aliveni pani bale. Alashara, the link, that link comes through music. Also, how do you create rhythm? How do you create rhythm in the flow of the poetry and the music? Now here, alashara paritapam. I'm not standing and doing it, but here you could definitely use the body beautifully and move. So paritapam. And I feel Angikam is very, very important in Abhinaya, particularly in a piece like this, which can be very sad and soft, but unless you bring the angles and the Shalabhanjikas and the postures, the sculpture, the frozen moments that you see, all that has to be integrated in a fleeting, it comes and goes kind of a thing. So that kind of a thing is very important. So now Alarshara, when you do, you can do of course the Panchabanas, and I don't need to go into that because all that is very technical and you can do, but I feel it should not become like a classroom delineation of the 5. First you do one and then that's not the way you integrate the Panchabana. You just integrate it seamlessly, you know. Suddenly you have to bring it somewhere and say Alashara paritapam shulvadim aliveni pani bale. Paritapam shulvadim aliveni pani bale. Alarshara can be done in, normally what we do is in some places you take a neraval, a little explanation to go beyond, because every time you don't have to say Sakhi, Sakhi, Sakhi. So you, if there is time, I will do the piece, and in that you will see there is a neraval in Alarshara Paritapam only. So you just do the Alarshara. So where do you keep that neraval, and how much do you expand a certain phrase or a certain part of the song is also left to the dancer to delineate and to kind of expand. That needs a little focus, and it should not be too much, it should not be too little. How much do you do and how much do you blend it and seamlessly put it in? That's important. After this, the charana, which is the first line, which is Valarunnu hridi moham yennomalle talarunnu mama deham kalamuri. So he's talked about the heart, the soul and the body. So the soul is yearning, the heart is yearning, and the urge to unite and the Shringara is growing. But at the same time, the body is kind of wilting. So I think the contrast of the two, of the growth and the wilting, is beautifully juxtaposed in this charanam, and I particularly like it because Valarunnu is the growing. How do you show the growth? Valarunnu hridi moham yennomalle valarunnu hridi moham yennomalle Now, Valarunnu. This is a beautiful hand. Valarunnu hridi moham yennomalle. Now, Valarunnu can be done as the lotus, the way it's blossoming. Valarunnu hridi moham yennomalle. Then you could show the moon. Valarunnu hridi moham yennomalle. Now, Valarunnu, what all can you show for growth? You could use all that. Supposing it's a plant, and the way the plant is actually coming up, the same way in me the emotion of love is growing. Valarunnu hridi moham yennomalle talarunnu mama deham kalamuri. This is something very unique to Swati Tirunal, where for the Sakhi, he always uses a lot of adjectives. Says you have tresses like the beautiful bees, or you have Kalamuri, the one who speaks so sweetly, so like a bird. So different kinds. So I think here in this context you really don't need to go to the word meaning. It's just enough to say that, because then that breaks the, if you say Kalamuri, it breaks because the intensity of these two lines is so much that Talarunnu mama deham kalamuri talarunnu mama deham kalamuri talarunnu mama deham kalamuri. suddenly there is a change in the mood here where Kusuma Vatika, it says about the beautiful garden that is there and how in the garden there's so many beautiful things, and then the bees which keep on buzzing all the time. Initially she likes it, but then she says, oh God, this is making me so irritated and this is reminding me of so many beautiful things. So please, this is just irritating. So I think the link has to be there from the earlier line to this line. So I thought a lot about it. And the way I linked it is, she says, oh Kalamuri, my body is giving up. And then the Sakhi drags her to the gun. So that's the link I thought. Kusuma Vatika Adiluna Kusuma Vatika Adiluna. She is not as involved as the friend is, but the friend is engaging her, and so she is watching. Yes, this is beautiful, isn't it? So hesitatingly she agrees that this is beautiful. Kusuma Vatika Adiluna So this is the structure. So the bees and the buzzing of the bees can be done in many ways, where you say, oh please, this is really disturbing me. So you can do this and say, oh no. Or you could even take out a flower and put it there and say, oh God, please go there, leave me alone. So I think there's so many ways of saying, now I can't take it. All these bees, after drinking the honey, they are so intoxicated, and here I am all by myself. Oh please, I can't take this anymore. So I think this is the basic construct of the entire padam. And I think there are 2-3 things I would like to tell you when we actually attempt a padam. First is, of course, to read the entire poem and place the Naika as the way you want to place the Naika, and then to listen to the music many times, and if possible even listen to multiple interpretations of the song, the same song, because you get the sangadis and the little nuances that different people come up with, and that makes a big difference, and that adds that little quality that you can bring through the dance. And then the thing is to imagine. Now Twilight, you have to imagine. Separation is again a very deeply felt thing, yet it has to be stylized. I think that is the key, because I see a lot of Abhinaya, which is a lot of Lokadharmi going in, and we were told right from the beginning that for a padam too much of Lokadharmi will never work, and you don't have the thing of telling a story or the whole thing of expanding it like that. It is a technique where the same line has to have multiple interpretations and multiple ways of looking at it. So that is what a padam is all about, and that takes a lot, because even a hand gesture, to be able to coordinate the hand, the eye, the neck, and of course the music, takes a lot, and that requires that core, which I think we were fortunate to just watch and learn. And we were able to watch a lot of padams during our time, because there were greats who would perform a lot of padams. Some had musicality, some had the intellectual construct where they would do a lot of ideas through a padam. Some would have the angika, which would be so beautiful. So I think watching all this has been a great visual experience for all of us, more than just the classroom experience of sitting and learning a padam. So I just do this padam for you. This is, there is no time. Is there time? Okay, I'll just do this padam. Let's see, I'll just maybe do just the Anupallavi and the Pallavi. And just to give the feel of the padam. to take questions so that if there are any queries from any of you, I could take those questions for the next 5 or 10 minutes. Could you please type the questions so that Sharanya could read them out to me? Questions are taking time, so I continue to talk about Padam as a format. The pace of the Padam is very important again, because I find every Padam has a certain quality, and the Javli is very different again. So I think the Padam and Javli have to have very distinct identities. And in the Padam, you don't keep time so much as you walk. But in a Javli, it's very important to keep time when you walk in a Javli.
So there's one question that's related to that. Choreographically, how a Padam and Javli, how a Padam is different from a Javli.
Yes, I was just going to say that. The Javli is much racier, and in fact you don't even expand too much in a Javli, because the format itself is such that it is you can't do it 40-50 times, I mean, it doesn't have that kind of a bandwidth, so to speak. So it has to, whatever you have to say quickly, and the pace has to be kept. So either you beat your foot and keep it, or you go back and forth and keep it. You have to say ways of keeping time. So the fastness of it is, the raciness of it is very important, and you can't really stretch a Javli. And same way you can't actually, in a Padam, you can't make it very fast. So both have their own pace, and while choreographing, I think that is the main thing. The reposefulness of the Padam and the lyrics and the music need to really sit beautifully, and the understanding has to be there.
So there is a question on which line of a Padam to elaborate, and sort of how to decide which Sanchari to do.
Very good question, because I think the line that gives you the maximum scope, and the line that actually moves you the most. I think in this, for example, the Jalaja Bandhu was very, very lovely for me. I love the Jalaja Bandhu line, and I love to expand on that line. And of course, the Charanam, the first 2 lines were beautiful in this Padam. So I think you can take, it depends on your own understanding and what you feel is nice for you to expand, and what you feel is close to your own feeling and your frame of reference, what you like. I think that you can use, and of course musically you have to see what works, because sometimes certain lines you cannot go on repeating musically. It doesn't have that format to repeat itself many times, so you have to also understand the music.
How would a different ragam change the mood of the abhinaya, and also about how important good music is?
Yes, the ragam is very, very important. I think the ragam, if you're doing a new piece where you're taking a lyric and setting it to music, because nowadays that is happening a lot, I think that the choice of the raga is very, very important. And for me, not only the raga changing the mood, the musician changing is also, the way the musician sings also makes a huge impact. If a musician with a certain quality of music is singing, then it becomes, the dance also becomes a certain way. So I think the quality of music is undisputably very, very important for a dancer. I don't think I can move without music. So, when I did a production many years back, it was with a theatre director. And he said that we will first work out the movements, and then I will fit the music on it. I mean, that was a nightmare for me, because I really couldn't move. So I think the way we are processed in the head is always with music. So yes, music is absolutely important. Yeah. Any more questions? questions?
So the difference between Padam and Javali.
That's already done.
Most of them are covered.
Anything related to this particular piece that I did just now, if there is anything that anybody wants to ask.
Switching between characters, how can conjunctions be choreographed?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because in Bharatanatyam and in particularly in the Abhinaya and the Padams that we do, we play multiple characters in just a jiffy, just one look and it's another character. So I think that change of character is a technique. It is a technique and it has to be actually learned. And earlier I remember when after my training with Swarna Sastyama, when I came to Nattuvanar, when we used to do mythological stories, he would ask us to turn and change character. Like supposing you have Rama here and you want to do Ravana, you would switch, you would take a round and then come to Ravana. And that was a different kind of approach when you told the story. But when it comes to a Padam, suddenly it's a Nayika and the Nayaka is there. Or suddenly it's the Nayika and the Sakhi is reassuring. So I think just the change of sides or the change of just one look can actually change the character.
How has this piece evolved over the years for you?
Yes, it has really evolved because fortunately I have a recording of this particular piece when I did it on my first national program of dance, maybe in early 1990s. And certainly I think I was so conscious of the technique and of saying the right thing, and of this freedom was not there at that time. And so I think with the progression of years and with the kind of ease and which doing things over and over again, I think the ease and the comfort of being able to emote without really any thought and without planning a piece, because I think I never plan a piece. I always go by the moment. I ask the musician to sing, and I never. Another thing one has to understand is when we ask the musician to sing a particular line 4 times, 5 times, it's not just the number of times. It's what the musician is singing. How does the musician sing the piece? 4 times, what is the musician going to sing? What is the cadence of the 4 times that the person... No, it's not the same thing the person doesn't sing. So where is the musician emphasizing? And according to that, I think the dancer has to also choreograph.
So we have lots more questions, but I think time is running out. So
thank you very much, Ananda and Natya Rambha. Thank you so much for this opportunity, for making me think, because to do a session you need to also put thoughts together, and this is the right time to do it, because in this time when we are all in a lockdown situation, I think there are lots of doubts in people's minds, and something constructive like this puts you in a frame where you think, you're hopeful, and you're talking to your peer. I think it's so important to talk to your peer and talk to fellow dancers. I don't think you all should be scared. We will always find a way, and we are a strong breed, you know that. Namaskar.